They were masterpieces until fire turned them into dust. Vaults meant to protect them became their graves. Whole careers erased in minutes. From Greta Garbo's vanished beauty to Lon Chaney's haunting terror, these are the films no one will ever see again. Lost forever in the flames of Hollywood's forgotten vaults. 1. London After Midnight, 1927. The film that died in smoke. In 1965, a spark inside MGM's film vault turned dreams into ashes. Among the hundreds of reels that melted that night was a silent horror that became legend, London After Midnight. Directed by Todd Browning and starring Lon Chaney, the man of a thousand faces, it was Hollywood's first great horror mystery. Chaney's monstrous grin, razor teeth, and shadowed stare terrified audiences in 1927. But today, no one alive has seen it. When the nitrate reels ignited, everything burned in minutes. Every negative, every print, gone. Only a few production stills survived, black and white ghosts that became the face of Hollywood's greatest lost film. For decades, collectors have searched the world for a surviving copy. Rumors spread a reel found in Spain, fragments discovered in London, but none ever confirmed. Film historians reconstructed the movie using still photos and the original shooting script, giving a glimpse of what once existed. Yet nothing compares to seeing Lon Chaney move, transform, and breathe terror into silence. A film about haunting spirits became a ghost itself, the most hunted, most mourned, lost movie in history. London. After Midnight didn't just disappear, it was erased by fire. And maybe that's why its legend never dies. 2. The Divine Woman, 1928. Greta Garbo's vanished masterpiece. In 1928, Greta Garbo stood at the height of her fame. Her face, her silence, her presence, she didn't need dialogue to command a screen. And then came The Divine Woman, a romantic drama directed by Victor Shellstrom. Critics called it Garbo's most emotional performance, a masterpiece of passion and restraint. But history had other plans. When the MGM vault burned in 1965, The Divine Woman was destroyed. The only surviving piece, a 9-minute fragment discovered decades later in a foreign archive. The rest was gone, melted beyond recovery. Garbo's performance, her divine aura, now exists only in memory and a few damaged stills. The film told the story of a woman chasing love and losing everything. Ironically, the film itself suffered the same fate. It was love and loss captured on nitrate, then claimed by fire. Archivists spent years searching every continent for a print, but nothing surfaced. Each lead ended in disappointment. Each rumor, another heartbreak. Some say Garbo herself never spoke of the loss because she understood beauty, like fame, doesn't last forever. The Divine Woman was her purest performance and her most tragic. A film that lived like a star and died like smoke. 3. The Seawolf, 1913. Jack London's tale that the fire devoured. Before the blockbuster era, before sound or color, came The Seawolf. A silent adaptation of Jack London's brutal novel about survival and power. In 1913, director Hobart Bosworth brought London's words to life, capturing the wild sea and the cruelty of man. But only 1 year later, it was gone. In 1914, the Lubin Manufacturing Company's Philadelphia vault erupted in flames. The heat was so intense that metal cans burst and nitrate film exploded like dynamite. The Seawolf was among hundreds of films burned to nothing. Not a frame survived. No negatives, no prints, no fragments. Only written reviews and publicity stills. It was a devastating loss. Historians call the Lubin fire one of cinema's earliest and most complete disasters. Whole decades of film were erased in hours. The Seawolf was considered a landmark, raw, daring, and human. Now it's a blank page in film history. Jack London's story was about a man fighting against the elements. Yet ironically, his film couldn't fight nature itself. Fire claimed what the ocean could not. All that's left are photographs of actors posing on deck, staring into the horizon, unaware that their work would vanish forever. The Seawolf became one of cinema's first ghosts, swallowed by the very element it feared most. 4. Saved from the Titanic, 1912. A survivor's story, lost to flames. Just weeks after the Titanic sank, actress Dorothy Gibson stepped before the camera to tell her story. She wasn't just playing a role, she was living it again. Wearing the same clothes she wore that night, she starred in Saved from the Titanic, a film made in 1912, only a month after the disaster. Audiences wept, watching a real survivor relive the tragedy. It was the first Titanic movie ever made, and one of the most powerful early silent dramas. But fate was merciless. In 1914, a fire at Eclair Studios in New Jersey destroyed every known print. The only movie made by someone who actually survived the Titanic lost forever to flames. Not a single frame remains. Only a few stills and advertisements survived. Gibson left Hollywood shortly after, haunted by the memory she had been forced to relive and then lose again. Film historians call Saved from the Titanic the cruelest irony in cinema, a movie about survival that couldn't survive its own history. It was more than a film, it was living memory, and today it's one of the rarest treasures lost to fire, leaving behind only silence and smoke where courage once spoke. 5. Strong Boy, 1929. John Ford's lost comedy. Before Stagecoach, before The Grapes of Wrath, John Ford made a comedy called Strong Boy. Released in 1929, it starred Victor McLaglen and showcased Ford's growing talent for character-driven humor. Audiences loved it. Critics called it fast, witty, and full of heart. But no one can see it now because in 1937, Fox's vaults burned to the ground. The Little Ferry Fire in New Jersey destroyed 75% of Fox's silent and early sound films. The flames raged for hours, fed by volatile nitrate film. Strong Boy was among the many casualties, and today only its trailer survives. Historians describe the loss as catastrophic. Dozens of early talkies vanished overnight. Ford's evolution as a filmmaker gone in smoke. The fire didn't just destroy movies, it wiped out history itself. Strong Boy was Ford's bridge between silent and sound cinema, that transition moment now erased. The film was lighthearted, joyful, a celebration of human spirit, but all that remains are stills and memories. A comedy that once made crowds laugh, now brings silence. A masterpiece that survived audiences, critics, and time, but not the fire. 6. Hot for Paris, 1929. A musical silenced by fire. There was once a movie that captured the wild spirit of the jazz age. Hot for Paris. Released in 1929, directed by Raoul Walsh, it was one of Fox's earliest sound musicals, bright, daring, and filled with the rhythm of a world learning to talk on screen. Audiences laughed, danced, and celebrated. But the film that made people sing didn't survive long enough to be remembered. In July 1937, fire tore through the Fox Film Corporation's storage facility in Little Ferry, New Jersey. The vault was packed with nitrate reels, unstable, explosive, and deadly when overheated. One spark turned history into hellfire. Within hours, more than 75% of Fox's silent and early sound films were gone. Hot for Paris was one of them. No copies survived, no negatives, not even a short clip. The fire consumed everything. Historians tried to reconstruct it through sheet music, scripts, and faded photographs. But the sound, the motion, the laughter gone forever. It wasn't just a film, it was the heartbeat of an era. A world of elegance, champagne, and jazz frozen on celluloid, then erased in smoke. Ironically, Hot for Paris was meant to celebrate life, love, and laughter. Yet its legacy became a symbol of loss, a reminder that even art made to make people smile can vanish without warning. A movie that once sang to the world is now silent, a melody lost to flame. In 7, The Fox Movietone Follies of 1929. The spectacle that burned to ash. Before color, before widescreen, there was spectacle. The Fox Movietone Follies of 1929 was the studio's proud experiment, a grand musical revue meant to showcase the magic of sound itself. Huge dance numbers, comic sketches, and glamorous costumes filled the screen. Audiences were dazzled. Fox had finally proven that sound wasn't just a novelty, it was the future. But 8 years later, the future burned. In the same 1937 Fox vault fire that destroyed Hot for Paris, the Fox Movietone Follies was erased forever. The fire started in a small, sealed vault filled with decomposing nitrate film. When the gases ignited, the explosion ripped through the building. Flames leapt from reel to reel, devouring thousands of movies. All that's left of the Follies today are photographs, song lists, and old reviews describing a breathtaking display of modern entertainment. No print has ever surfaced. Not a single second of motion remains. The fire didn't just destroy a film, it silenced an era's joy. The voices, the songs, the laughter that marked the birth of Hollywood's sound age all burned. Imagine hundreds of singers, dancers, and performers who gave their youth to that production. Their work was meant to live forever. Instead, it lasted less than a decade. The Fox, movie-tone follies of 1929 promised immortality and ended in smoke. 8. The Birth of a Baby, 1921. A forbidden film lost in flames. It was a film that dared to show the truth. In 1921, The Birth of a Baby broke every boundary Hollywood had set. It portrayed childbirth real, graphic, and educational, something society wasn't ready to see. The movie sparked outrage, protests, and bans across America. But beyond the controversy, it was revolutionary. It sought to educate, not entertain. Years later, its reels were stored in the Fox Film Corporation's archive in Little Ferry, New Jersey. The same vault that would one day ignite. In July 1937, as the summer heat swelled, the nitrate stock began to decompose. Then, without warning, it exploded. Within minutes, thousands of films were gone, The Birth of a Baby among them. Every print, every negative, every trace of its existence destroyed. Even censorship boards that had once condemned it now mourned its loss. Historians say it was the first film to show childbirth with medical accuracy, decades before documentaries dared do the same. No restoration is possible. Only fragments of publicity material survive, hinting at what the world lost: bravery, realism, and artistic defiance. It's a cruel irony. A film that gave life on screen died by destruction. The Birth of a Baby was born ahead of its time and perished before it could be understood. 9. Outwitting Dad, 1914. Oliver Hardy's first role that no one can see. Before he became half of the world's greatest comedy duo, Oliver Hardy was just a young man trying to make people laugh. His first credited appearance came in a short silent film called Outwitting Dad, produced by the Lubin Manufacturing Company in 1914. It was a simple comedy, a mischievous son, a clever prank, a laugh at family life. It should have been preserved as a piece of history. Instead, it burned before anyone could realize its worth. That same year, the Lubin Film Vault in Philadelphia caught fire. Inside were thousands of reels stored in unsafe nitrate cans. The explosion destroyed nearly the studio's entire collection. Outwitting Dad was gone, Hardy's debut, wiped out in seconds. No fragments remain, no photographs, no scripts, no reels. It's as if the film never existed. For historians, it's one of the greatest losses in comedy history, the first laugh of a legend. Erased. Oliver Hardy would go on to achieve immortality with Stan Laurel, bringing joy to millions. Yet his beginning, his first smile on camera, is a mystery. A comedy meant to start a career ended in smoke. The man who made the world laugh lost his first joke to fire. Outwitting Dad, the laugh no one will ever hear again. 10. The Escape, 1914. D.W. Griffith's vanished vision. In 1914, D.W. Griffith, the man who changed cinema forever, created The Escape, a dark, daring film about social decay and moral collapse. It dealt with taboo subjects like disease, addiction, and the struggle between good and evil within society. Critics said it was bold, audiences said it was too real, and then it vanished. The film was stored in the Lubin vaults in Philadelphia, the same warehouse that burned later that year. When the nitrate erupted, The Escape was lost completely. Not a single frame remains. Only production notes and newspaper reviews prove it ever existed. The irony of its title is impossible to ignore. The Escape was meant to expose the prison of human weakness, and yet it escaped history itself. Historians call its loss one of the greatest in silent cinema. Griffith was experimenting with realism, depth, and raw emotion years ahead of his time. But the flames ended that experiment forever. Today we can only imagine its imagery, shadows, tension, humanity laid bare. Its director went on to create masterpieces, but The Escape remains his missing chapter. A film that dared to face reality was consumed by it. And maybe that's what makes The Escape unforgettable, not because it survived, but because it didn't. They burned in vaults that promised immortality. All that remains are ashes, memories, and silence. A century later, we still search for their ghosts hidden in forgotten basements or buried in reels the world forgot. If one of these films was suddenly found today, which story would you bring back from the fire?